Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. And today we are going to be talking about the practicality of doing the inner work it takes to heal. Because I know a lot of you out there say, I don't have time to do this technique and that technique and this technique and that technique, and setting aside a half an hour for journaling, setting aside a half an hour for meditating, setting aside half an hour for inner child work, setting aside a half an hour to deal with my past trauma, to do all of these different techniques, visualization, brain retraining, mind retraining, right? To do all of these things, to practice manifestation, to say positive affirmations. I simply don't have enough time in the day to get to all the inner work it takes in order to heal. So if you are also confused about this topic and you want to know how to do inner work made simple, then please hit the like button, consider subscribing for more videos like this, and let's get into it. So I hear you, I understand. I teach all of these tools and techniques and more in the inner work section of my program. The reason that I teach them all so thoroughly is that it is important to know how to do all of them, because they all have their place in healing. And knowing when to use what technique at what time is important. But the essence of inner work is all the same. When we're talking about doing inner work, the reason we do it is because something is coming up that feels bad internally to us, emotionally, right? Somatically. Something comes up that feels, tangibly we feel it as an emotion or as a sensation. These are feelings in our body, and we're not okay with them. And so when this happens, when we notice a heaviness or sadness, or when we are swirling with anxiety, or when we're having uncomfortable feelings and we want to run, or we want to escape them, right? These sensations or feelings or energies in our body, or our past images that we bring up, memories of the past, whatever it is, we are carrying something that we don't like into our future moment, and we don't know what's wrong. We don't know how to heal it. This is essentially what inner work is. It is the essence of, I'm experiencing something right now that I don't like, whether it's a thought, an emotion, a feeling, or a sensation, and I don't know where it came from or how to get rid of it. And so doing the inner work is always in the present. We're looking inside ourselves to find out what's going on. That is essentially what inner work is. It's taking our present discomfort of a situation or dislike of a situation or a feeling or an emotion or a sensation in our body, right? A past memory, whatever is happening right now, is coming up for us right now in this moment. And we're looking inside to see what it is and to make it feel better. That is essentially inner work. That is really critical for you to know, because it takes all of this. I have to set aside half an hour here and there and here and there, and I don't know how I'm going to fit this all in. You don't have to fit it in, because the present moment will offer you the space to work. You will know when something uncomfortable is coming up that you can't tolerate or you don't like in your life, that is hurting you in some way in the present. This is exactly when you do the inner work. Right now, in the present, as it's here. So when we're feeling good, we're not setting aside time to journal. We're not setting aside time to do inner child work. We're not setting aside time for meditation. We're not setting aside time to do those unless we're learning how to do them and practicing the techniques and tools on how to do them. But when we're using them, when we're practically using them as practical application to actually heal ourselves, we are always doing this work in the present. That is when it's here. That is when it is ripe for us to work with. So it's about knowing and observing and becoming aware of what is. That's always step one for everything. When you notice something that is inside, that's why it's called inner work, it's inside, that you don't like, that is bothering you, that is uncomfortable in some way, that is when we stop, we reflect, and we look inside. Once we see what it is, then we apply our tools and techniques to make it feel better, to heal it right there in the moment. So it is a present moment job. So this is why people say meditation is key and meditation is important, and I don't disagree with that. But people somehow think that the meditation alone is the thing that's going to heal them. Okay, so they may set aside an hour to meditate. They pull this time out of thin air and they sit down and they clear their mind of everything, and they think that that is going to heal their inner wounds. How could that possibly heal the inner wounds when we're not observing the inner wounds, when we're not even working with those wounds at that time? Essentially, all that you're doing is sitting down to practice using a skill called meditation, so that when you actually need it in present time to do true inner work, you know how to do it, and you understand what meditating is, what it feels like. And so you're not preoccupied with learning how to do meditation while you're doing it. You're just in the present moment, already knowing how to do it, and then applying it at the present time that you need it. So substitute meditation for any other inner healing tool or technique there. And that is the same thing. So if you are doing visualization, or if you're doing inner child work, whatever you're doing, right? You set aside this time and you practice a tool and a technique really, really good, and you think that's supposed to heal you on the inside. How can it heal your inner wounds when you're not actually working with your inner wounds? You're literally just setting time aside to practice those techniques. And that's good. You need to do that at the beginning. But when you're actually healing, you're not setting aside time to practice a tool or technique. You're applying a tool or a technique that you already know how to do in the moment when you need it. So I really want you to get this. Inner work is a present time job. So when something comes up on the inside, whether it's a sensation or an emotion or a feeling of any kind, a past memory, whatever is coming up, an energy, right? A heaviness, whatever comes up that you don't like, that is difficult to deal with, that is when you are wanting to heal what's inside. Now, before you can heal what's inside, you must know what's inside. So this is when you stop. First, you become aware. You're like, okay, something's going on that I'm finding it really hard to have my energy move freely in this world. Something's pulling me down, right? Something's keeping me stuck. I feel this energy. I feel this emotion. I feel this sensation. I can't move freely in the world right now and just be in love and joy and creativity because there's something there. So this is when you look inside, because you're doing inner work. You want to find out what's in there. That's why it's called inner work. What's in there? So you stop. This is when I would immediately come to meditation. So I would sit down, I would stop whatever I'm doing. I might be in the middle of something really important, but I would stop what I'm doing if I can, okay? You can't always. But when you can, you stop. I would find a quiet spot and I would sit down. And I wouldn't be thinking, I'm gonna practice how to meditate. I would be thinking, I'm gonna use my skill of meditation to get quiet now, to connect with my breath, to connect with the inside of me, to connect with my heart chakra, to feel what's happening inside. And I would sit and I would notice and allow whatever is coming up to be there, to feel it, to notice all of it, the color, the feeling of it, how I'm labeling it, you know, where it's located, what it feels like, right? Everything about it. And I would allow it to be there and I would sit in the discomfort of it until it reveals itself to me This is what we're doing. We're sitting, we're not trying to push this down or clear our mind, as a lot of people say that's what meditation is. That's not what meditation is. Meditation is getting quiet and getting centered in yourself. And when you're doing inner work, the things that you don't want, you are sitting with. You are allowing them to be there, and you're letting them be there in their fullness so that you can see what they are, so you can feel what they are, so you can hear what they're saying, so you can allow them to be, right? Without resistance, without fighting them or pushing them or trying to change them, right? So this is why it's important to know how to meditate, because when you're in the moment, you don't want to like, oh, how do I meditate, right? You're sitting there and you're getting aware and getting present with what is in there right now, right? And then, depending on what comes up, you may move to a different technique. We may move to inner child work in there, right? Because what's coming up might be a past memory or a past heaviness. And we realize we need to go back to that place in the past. We realize we need to let the child who experienced the original wound talk. Let this child be comforted. Or maybe that's not what's coming up. Maybe it is not a past trauma or a past hurt that's underneath these uncomfortable sensations or feelings or emotions that you're feeling in the present. But you don't know that until you sit in meditation and become aware of what is actually inside. The inner work, right? That's why we call it the inner work. We're discovering what's there. And it may be a looping thought, in which case we may go into a technique of changing that thought. We may notice a belief coming up, and then we may morph into changing a belief, right? Doing a tool or technique that helps us change our belief at a fundamental level. We may feel sensations somatically that want to be released, and maybe we go into a somatic release technique. Maybe we need to cry or shake, right? What is coming up? What is stuck? What needs to be released? What needs to be soothed in there? What needs to be loved? What needs to be nurtured? What needs to be cared for? What beliefs might need to be changed? What is actually there underneath this discomfort that you're feeling? That is what you find out. And so you're using and layering these techniques on top of each other in real time, depending on what you find in there. And that's why it's different for everyone. That's why it's different. These techniques and tools, you know, if they're done with love, with self-love, with the intent to heal, then often they work in different situations no matter what is coming up, because you're applying love to yourself, right? You are applying forgiveness to yourself. You're applying, you know, self-soothing techniques. You are applying many things. And so people get confused, like, so-and-so healed with this technique, so I just have to practice this technique over and over. That's not necessarily true. What is true is that inner work is looking at what's inside and then soothing, healing, changing what's inside for you, right? Releasing what's inside, whatever the work that you need done on the inside. We apply these tools and techniques to us, to our specific situation, with the intent to love and heal ourselves on the inside, right? So that is what inner work is. That is how we make inner work simple, is that we learn all of the various tools and techniques that work in different situations and how to apply them, but then we don't need to set time aside anymore, right? Then we don't need to. We are just able to use them practically in real time, because healing is always a present moment job. And you can only heal what's here now, what's coming up now, what's inside now at each moment. And when you're feeling good, when you're feeling love, when you're feeling joy, and you bring yourself to sit down and practice a technique and to start rehashing the past, that's just bringing something up and giving you those vibrations that you don't want. So while we never ignore feelings or anything that's happening in the present, right? We don't suppress or reject it in the present. We always do the healing work right here, right now in the present. We also don't re-traumatize ourselves by visiting things that aren't here now, right? By going back and doing, all of this work when we're not feeling those right now inside of us. So don't worry, if nothing comes up, then nothing ever comes up. You're healed, you're free. You don't need to look back. But you will know when something comes up because you will be triggered by something in real life, or you'll have a very heavy emotion that weighs you down or that you feel deeply, or you will have an energy that overtakes you, right? Or feels stuck or feels something, and you will know in the present, there's something coming up and I need to work with it and I don't know what it is. So I need to reflect right now and get quiet with myself and find out what is actually here and what's underneath these, because your body can't just tell you. It's underneath maybe a feeling or an emotion or a sensation or an energy. And so we want to feel those and then find out what's underneath, right? Find out what's underneath them. And then give yourself, it's not about doing a technique then, it's about giving yourself what you need to feel better, to feel whole, to feel loved, to feel complete, right? To feel through it. So it's always a feeling through, not a fixing or a changing. It's a learning and a growing and expanding through what is there. And we get closer to our true selves. We get closer to ourselves in that moment when we do this. That is what inner healing work is healing what's inside. Inner work. Healing what is right now inside that may be hurting us in some way, right? That is just uncomfortable in some way. And we always do this through love and compassion to ourselves. Inner work is gentle. It's compassionate. It's kind. We don't push a crying child, to feel better before they're ready. We soothe, we love, we listen, we're gentle, we're kind, we're supportive, we encourage, we may repoint in another direction, but we don't, throw that child off us in the middle of them expressing their feelings or crying or whatever. We stay with them until the energy is moved, until they're through it, until they dry their tears, until the smile emerges, until they feel better, right? That's exactly what inner work is. You recognize something's wrong. You are the kind, loving, compassionate healer that comes through awareness to sit with yourself until you feel better in some way, until you feel more loved, feel more whole, feel more connected, feel ready to get back up and go back out into the world and try again until the next thing comes up. And this is what it takes. And sometimes when you're really in a dark hole, it's a constant being with yourself. It's a constant loving yourself. It's a constant being compassionate to yourself, right? It's a constant soothing. But eventually, just like any traumatized child or traumatized animal, they will begin to heal, play, feel joy again, love. And so the more love you give to yourself, the faster healing happens, right? So it's not about pushing yourself to complete a tool or technique or to get somewhere or to change something quickly. It's about how you become more whole, how you integrate back to yourself more, how you love yourself through this. That is the process of healing. That is the process of inner work. So if you enjoyed this video and you got value from it, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe And if you're ready to take your health into your own hands and learn how to become your own healer, you can sign up for my program in the comments or description box below. And I want to thank you for your time today. I am sending love, and I will see you in the next video. And for those of you who are still here, this is a little bonus. This is why and how the power lies inside you. This is why and how you are your own healer, is because when you are able to sit with yourself and feel what's in there and see what's in there and notice what's in there and love yourself through it, whether you're using a particular tool or technique, or you're just going off of instinct, the way a mother would soothe a baby, and you're just staying with yourself in essence until you feel better inside, you have done inner work. You went from a place of feeling bad to a place of feeling good or better. And when you realize that you are the one who did this, you have the power to do this, then you realize you always had the power. You hold the power. And the more and more you realize that you have the power and you take the power and use your own power to make yourself feel better in the present, to love yourself in the present, to soothe yourself in the present, you become your own healer. And when you do this enough times, you start to understand that the power truly does lie inside of you.